Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm Nurse Alyssa, and today we're going to go over 4 methods to stop a bleed at home. But first, if you could hit that subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated as it truly does help my channel. So even the smallest cuts can bleed quite a lot. Now, in our blood, we do have platelets, and these help clot our blood and form a clot at that location to stop the bleeding. Now, if you do need to speed things up a little bit, or it's just bleeding quite a lot and you want to help it, we have some home remedies here that are quite easy to quickly get the bleeding to stop. But our first step is always to apply pressure and to elevate above the heart. So like I said, we're first going to want apply pressure and elevate. So say I get a cut on my hand, I'm going to want to hold pressure on it with a clean cloth. So gauze, cloth, it doesn't matter what we're using to apply pressure and to absorb the bleeding. We just want it to be clean, okay? If the blood does start seeping through, we're not going to remove that compression. Removing it too soon may increase bleeding and kind of break open that clot that is starting to form. So instead, you're just going to keep adding on top of it and not removing the compression, okay? And we're going to keep pressure on that for about 5 to 10 minutes without checking to see if the bleeding has stopped. And if the bleeding hasn't stopped after that amount of time, we're going to do it for another 5 minutes. If you're up to that 15-minute mark, we're going to call the doctor to see next further steps. But we always want to have it above the level of our heart and hold pressure. This will help, gravity will work with us then, and it won't allow the blood to flow as quickly to the wound. I mean, it's still going to flow to that area, but holding it up, gravity works with us. Okay, so next we have ice. This is another popular home remedy to stop bleeding. It also helps reduce the swelling. However, there is little scientific research to support this remedy, but I mean, it is a remedy. And older studies have found that when your body temperature is higher, you have more bleeding. But on the other hand, if you have a lower body temperature, you seem to clot slower. So it's kind of a catch-22 for this. But if you want to use this method, you just take an ice cube, apply it with a gauze, and then just put it on with a little bit of pressure onto it, and hopefully it will get the blood to stop bleeding in that area. Okay, so next we have witch hazel. So the astringent nature of witch hazel may help stop bleeding in small nicks and cuts. So astringents help tighten the skin and draw it together, decreasing blood supply and promoting clotting. Now, more research is needed to prove that astringents stop bleeding, but there was a study in 2007 that did find witch hazel ointment to be an effective treatment for certain types of skin disorders. Okay, now how do we use this? To use witch hazel to slow bleeding, apply a small amount to a gauze or compress and press it on the wound. Now, you should be using pure witch hazel without any additives or alcohol, and it can most of the time be found at just your local drugstore. So this was an interesting one that I decided to add. I haven't personally used this, but I did find this online and I thought it was actually pretty cool. So the combination of vitamin C powder and zinc lozenges may stop prolonged bleeding and encourage blood clots after a tooth extraction. Okay, so a recent study found that they sprinkled vitamin C powder onto a gauze and applied it to the bleeding tooth socket, and it helped slow the bleed. Now, sprinkling the powder directly onto the gums eventually stopped the bleeding of the local gum tissue. Now, once the bleeding stopped, the woman was instructed to dissolve a zinc lozenge in her mouth, and this resulted in a blood clot formation, and it worked within 3 minutes. Now, how do we use this? So be sure that you're using pure vitamin C powder that's not mixed with added sugars or flavorings. And you're going to sprinkle it directly onto the bleeding gum. And then once that's done, you suck on a zinc lozenge. Now, once again, I have never tried this method. I seen it, I seen the study, I thought it was cool, so that's why I added it. So I hope you did find this video helpful, just showing different ways how to stop bleeds. And once again, if you do have a bleed that's not stopping within 15 minutes, you should be getting professional help. Okay, and I will catch you guys in my next video. See ya!